If you suffer from pain and stiffness in your hands due to arthritis, this video could change your routine. I'm going to show you a simple homemade oil made with natural ingredients that has helped many people reduce inflammation and regain movement in just a few days. It's something that conventional medicine hardly ever mentions, but it can make all the difference. Watch until the end and learn how to prepare and use this remedy at home. If you're new here, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos. There's something no one has told you, something that has been hidden for years, stifled by bigger interests, silenced by powerful voices that dictate what you should and shouldn't know about your own health. If you are one of the millions of people who wake up every day with pain in your hands, with swollen, stiff fingers, hoping that today the suffering will be a little less, then this video is for you. And it is urgent that you listen to the end, because what I am about to reveal here could change everything. Have you ever wondered why, despite so many advances in medicine, you still live dependent on drugs that only mask the symptoms of arthritis? Why do the anti-inflammatories you take give you some temporary relief but never solve the root problem? And worse, why do these same medications always come with side effects that affect your stomach, liver, kidneys, as if you were trading one pain for another? It's time to ask questions. It's time to look beyond the surface. The truth, as uncomfortable as it may seem, is that there is a universe of natural and effective alternatives that could help and even transform your reality. But these solutions are not widely publicized. Why? Because they are too simple. Because they do not generate profits for large pharmaceutical companies. Because they are made with ingredients you can find in your kitchen, in your backyard, at the corner market. And that is exactly why they are of no interest to the structures that sustain the chronic disease cycle. You may think this is a conspiracy theory, but think about it. How often have you heard in the mainstream media or even at the doctor's office about the anti-inflammatory powers of ginger, or about the impressive effects of extra virgin olive oil when used correctly, or about how a simple herbal infusion can reduce internal inflammatory processes that affect your joints? If the answer is almost never or never, that says a lot. And it's not about doctors being dishonest. Most of them are stuck in a system that trains professionals to treat diseases with standardized protocols, with no room for more natural, more integrative approaches. And even when a doctor is willing to explore these possibilities, they find themselves limited by bureaucracy, the interests of laboratories, and the strict rules that govern what can and cannot be prescribed. It is in this void, in this space of silence, that the patient's suffering grows, and that safe and effective home remedies end up being treated as mystical alternatives, when in fact they have a scientific basis and ancestral tradition. In this video, we will show you one of these secrets, a secret that you will not see in TV commercials, that is not advertised in pharmacies, that is unlikely to be recommended by your health insurance plan, but one that can make a difference. A homemade oil made with ingredients that fight inflammation, stimulate circulation, and restore the lightness, mobility, and peace that arthritis has long stolen from your hands. And this is not a miracle promise, but a return to the natural wisdom that has always been within our reach. So stay with us, listen carefully, and above all, be willing to try something new, or rather, something old that has been neglected. What you learn here may be the first step toward regaining control of your health, because you deserve to live without pain. You deserve to have your hands back. Imagine for a moment starting your day with a dull, almost invisible pain that seems to pierce you from the inside out. A pain that isn't excruciating but never goes away. It's always there, present. Every time you try to open a jar, every time you struggle to button your shirt, every time you give someone a hug and have to clench your fist. This is how people with arthritis live, a condition that goes far beyond inflamed joints. It slowly erodes autonomy, lightness, and confidence in one's own body. And often, all this happens without those around you realizing the severity of what you are feeling. Arthritis doesn't just choose the body, it chooses the timing, the rhythm, the emotional state. It's a condition that carries an invisible sadness. When we talk about arthritis, we often think only of physical pain, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Underneath is a chronic, silent, and continuous inflammatory process. It settles in the joints, especially in the hands, fingers, and wrists, and remains there, inflaming the structures, attacking the lining that protects and lubricates the joints, causing stiffness, swelling, and over time, deformities. The day begins with stiffness. The fingers feel stuck, as if frozen from the inside. Movements are slow, painful, uncertain. This is not just normal pain or getting older. Arthritis, especially rheumatoid arthritis, is an autoimmune disease, which means that the body's own immune system attacks the joints as if they were invaders. The body, in its attempt to defend itself, becomes its own enemy. And this silent war goes on every day, with every movement, with every attempt to live normally. As the hours pass, the stiffness may lessen, but the discomfort remains. Swelling in the joints, especially in the hands, becomes visible. Sometimes the knuckles appear larger and hard to the touch. The skin may become red, and the pain, it varies. Sometimes it throbs, sometimes it burns. At other times, it feels as if every movement scratches inside, as if something is scraping the bones together. The simple act of holding a pen, brushing your teeth, or holding a glass of water can become a challenge, and it doesn't stop there. Arthritis brings with it profound exhaustion, a fatigue that cannot be resolved with rest. It's as if the body is always on alert, always tired. Sleep is affected, mood swings occur, anxiety grows, especially when thinking about the future. Will I be able to use my hands in a few years? Will I depend on someone else to open a door? These thoughts haunt many patients and are, unfortunately, underestimated by those who have never experienced this reality. That is why it is so important to talk about it in depth. Understanding arthritis means giving a name to a pain that many still try to hide. It means recognizing that this condition is not fussiness, it is not exaggeration, and it is not just a matter of using a little ointment. Arthritis is a systemic, progressive, and emotionally draining disease, and it is precisely because it is so complex that solutions need to go beyond simply prescribing pills. In this video, by offering a natural alternative, we do not want to deny traditional medicine. We want to expand it. We want to remind you that taking care of your health is not just about silencing symptoms, but about listening to what your body is trying to tell you. And it does speak. With every morning stiffness, with every swollen joint, with every gesture that is no longer so simple, it is asking for help. By understanding the symptoms of arthritis in depth, with empathy and attention, we take the first step toward a more humane, holistic, and effective treatment. Hand pain doesn't have to be your sentence. It can be the starting point for a journey of healing, and you're about to discover a path that may never have been shown to you before. Over the past few decades, we have learned to blindly trust conventional medicine. It promised us answers, gave us colorful pills, difficult names, state-of-the-art tests, and for a while we believed that would be enough, that all we had to do was follow the prescriptions, take the medicine on time, put up with the side effects, and in return we would be cured. But over time, an uncomfortable reality has emerged. For many chronic conditions such as arthritis, traditional medicine does not cure, it merely manages. And when that becomes evident, a question begins to echo within each patient. Is that all there is? Isn't there something more? Modern medicine is undoubtedly an achievement of humanity. It has saved lives, eradicated infectious diseases, and accomplished unthinkable feats. But when it comes to chronic inflammatory autoimmune diseases such as arthritis, it seems to stall. Patients enter a cycle of prescriptions, painkillers for pain, anti-inflammatories for swelling, corticosteroids for more acute flare-ups, and immunosuppressants to prevent the body from attacking itself. These are heavy-duty drugs, expensive treatments that often require a lifetime of monitoring, readjustment, and, unfortunately, dependence. The great tragedy, however, lies not only in the limitations of medication, but in the way the patient is treated. Western medicine, which is highly segmented, views the body as a set of isolated parts. You go to a rheumatologist for your joints, a neurologist for pain, a dermatologist for side effects. Each specialist treats a symptom, an organ, a function, but no one treats the human being as a whole. Few ask about diet, sleep, or emotional history, which may be deeply linked to the development of that disease. Few listen, and that is where many patients get lost. They return from the doctor's office with a prescription in hand, a list of tests, but no real answers, no understanding, just a sentence that sounds like a sentence. You'll have to live with it. And faced with that sentence, many remain silent, others rebel, and some, the brave ones, begin to seek alternatives, not because they reject science, but because they feel they are being left behind. The criticism here is not against doctors. Most of them enter medicine with passion, with a desire to help, but the system stifles them. Colleges prioritize pharmacology, not nutrition. Hospitals value efficiency, not listening time. Clinical protocols prioritize immediate relief of symptoms, but rarely investigate the root causes. Thus, even with good intentions, many professionals end up acting like machine operators. They identify symptoms, push buttons, and dispense medications. But the human being in front of them continues to suffer, continues to be misunderstood. What we are proposing in this video is not an abandonment of medicine, but an expansion of consciousness, a more complete view, more human, more connected to the roots of healing. For centuries, before the pharmaceutical industry dominated the scene, people treated inflammation with herbs, oils, and roots. They knew the power of touch, compresses, and anti-inflammatory foods. They knew that healing comes from within. Today, this wisdom has been forgotten, or worse, ridiculed. They call it home remedy, as if it were inferior. But nature has never been weak. It is, and always has been, the source of everything. That's why when we say doctors don't talk about it, we're not accusing individuals. We're denouncing a model that silences ancient knowledge. That turns health into a product. That creates dependency and devalues the power of self-care. It is this model that needs to be questioned, and that is why we are here, to remind you that you are not bound by what you have been told. You can explore, experiment, discover new ways of taking care of yourself, because your body is your temple, your pain has a voice, and your health does not belong to a system, it belongs to you. After everything everything you've heard so far, after understanding the pain, the system that perpetuates it, and the silent flaws of the traditional approach, you may be asking yourself, is there anything I can do right now with my own hands to change this story? And the answer is yes, there is a way, a remedy, a simple gesture that can become a healing ritual. Today you will learn about a powerful, natural, homemade oil that carries centuries of folk wisdom and the potential to relieve inflammation, restore movement, and above all, restore your hope. But before revealing the ingredients, it must be said, this oil is not magic. It is medicinal. It was not invented in laboratories, but cultivated in humble kitchens, in villages, in gardens. It comes from a time when the body was respected and healing came from the earth. And the most incredible thing, everything you need to prepare it may already be in your home. You won't need to spend a fortune or rely on pharmacies. All you need is attention, intention, and patience, because natural healing takes time, but it is persistent. Let's start with extra virgin olive oil, the base of this remedy. More than just a cooking oil, olive oil is a true anti-inflammatory balm. Rich in antioxidants such as oleuropein and oleocanthal, it acts directly to reduce inflammatory processes in the body, so effectively that studies compare it to ibuprofen in certain concentrations. It penetrates deep into the skin, nourishing, lubricating, and warming the joints. It's the warm hug your hands crave. To the olive oil, we add fresh grated ginger, a powerful root known for its anti-inflammatory, analgesic, and circulation-stimulating properties. Ginger activates blood flow, warms the skin, dissolves deep tissue tension, and helps remove toxins accumulated in the joints. It not only relieves pain, but also combats the stiffness that traps the fingers. Its aroma is strong and lively, as if calling the body back to life. The third ingredient is turmeric, also known as Indian saffron. Turmeric is one of the most studied natural anti-inflammatories in the world. Its main active substance, curcumin, has the ability to modulate the immune system, fight chronic inflammation, and regenerate damaged tissue. When heated in olive oil, turmeric releases even more of its therapeutic potential. It is like liquid gold, flowing to restore to your hands what arthritis has taken away, lightness and movement. To intensify the effect, we can add fresh rosemary or bay leaves. Both have compounds that act as pain relievers and muscle relaxants. Rosemary activates circulation, cleanses the blood, and calms the nerves. Bay leaves in turn have antifungal, antioxidant, and detoxifying properties. Together, they not only treat symptoms, but also help create an internal environment conducive to regeneration. The preparation is a ritual in itself. In a small saucepan, add a cup of olive oil and place over very low heat, as if you were whispering to the oil, not shouting. Add a tablespoon of grated ginger, another of turmeric powder or fresh grated turmeric, and a handful of rosemary or bay leaves. Let it heat for about 15 to 20 minutes, without letting it boil. The goal is to infuse the oil, allowing it to become a vehicle for the healing properties contained in each plant. After this time, strain with a clean cloth or fine sieve and store the golden liquid in an amber or dark glass bottle, away from direct light. This will be your elixir. How you use it is just as important as how you prepare it. Apply the warm oil directly to your hands every day, preferably at night before bed. Massage gently, with presence, as if awakening something dormant. Use circular movements, pressing gently on each finger and each joint, as if you were restoring your own freedom of movement. Let the heat penetrate. Let the aroma envelop you. Let nature act where the pain has settled. This remedy does not come with instructions. It comes with intuition. It has no contraindications, but it does require consistency. It offers no miraculous promises, but it paves the way for your body to remember what it is like to live without pain. When you touch your hands with this oil, you are also touching your history, your pain, your future, and perhaps for the first time in a long time, you will feel that you are in control of your healing. Now, what was once just a mixture of natural ingredients becomes a remedy. But more than that, a sacred gesture of care, a way of reconnecting with your own body. Because the way you use this oil is not just about application, it's about presence. It's about turning routine into ritual. It's about transforming touch, so often forgotten in the rush of everyday life, into an instrument of deep healing. At the end of each day, when your body is already carrying the weight of the hours, when your hands are tired and your fingers hurt even to hold a glass of water, that is the perfect time to apply the oil. Not in a hurry, not as another obligation, but as an encounter, an invitation to silence. Set aside a space just for you, even if it's small, a corner of the house, a room with soft lighting, a place where you can breathe deeply, away from the interruptions of the world. Because believe me, your body listens to its surroundings. It responds to care. It opens up when it feels there is time and respect. Warm the oil slightly, as if waking something asleep. You can do this by rubbing a few drops between your palms or warming the bottle in a water bath for a few minutes. The heat helps the oil penetrate deeper into the tissues, increasing its effectiveness. It should not be too hot, just warm and welcoming, like a liquid hug. Start by applying small amounts to the palm of your hand. Use your other hand to spread it in slow, conscious circular movements. Feel the contact of the oil on your skin and allow the aroma of ginger, turmeric, bay leaf, rosemary, whatever your choice, to envelop your senses. Breathe deeply. Each breath is part of the healing process. The pain you feel is not just physical, it is stored in your muscle memory, in repressed emotions, in accumulated exhaustion. By gently touching your hand, you are telling your body, I am here, I care. Spend a few minutes on each finger. Massage the base, the middle joints, and the tip. Squeeze gently, as if you were unblocking the flow of life there. Then, move up to your wrists, using gentle back and forth rubbing movements to activate circulation. Imagine that you are inviting the blood to flow, to oxygenate each cell, to carry away inflammation, pain, and fatigue. Visualize your joints being nourished and regenerate. When integrated with touch, the mind enhances the effect of any treatment. You can perform this ritual once a day, preferably at night, so that the oil can work while you sleep, when the body naturally repairs itself. But if you feel the need, you can also apply it when you wake up, especially on days when morning stiffness is more intense. In this case, combine it with a warm bath or hot compress to help loosen the tissues before application. It is important to remember, healing does not happen overnight. It is a process, and that process requires consistency. In the first few days, you may only notice slight relief, a feeling of comfort. But over time, days, weeks, you will notice that the pain begins to subside, that your fingers move more easily, that the stiffness is no longer so oppressive. This is how nature works, slowly but deeply, with wisdom. And more than just relieving physical symptoms, this daily gesture will give you back something that arthritis silently takes away: confidence in your own body. Because when you start taking care of yourself with your own hands, something inside you changes. You are no longer just a patient waiting for prescriptions, you become an agent of your own healing. You rediscover that even in the face of pain, there is still much that can be done. There is still life pulsing in every cell. There are still paths to be taken. So don't underestimate this moment. It's not small, it's revolutionary. Each application of this oil is an act of love, a pact with your health, a reminder that you are still in charge, that you have power, that you deserve much more than living with pain. You deserve freedom, lightness, and movement. And it all starts with a simple touch, yours. When we begin a healing process, even if it comes from nature and carries with it the ancient knowledge of herbs and oils, there is always a question that echoes in the heart of those who suffer. Will it work for me? This question does not arise from disbelief, but from exhaustion. It comes from those who have tried everything. It comes from those who have carried pill bottles, waited for results, believed in medical promises, and still wake up in pain. That's why, when presenting this natural remedy, we won't promise you miracles, but we will show you what is possible with consistency, attention, and dedication. The first few days will be subtle. You may notice a pleasant warmth in your hands after application, a momentary relief as if the tension began to dissolve between your fingers. This is already a good sign. It shows that the oil is activating circulation, penetrating the joints, and stimulating nerve endings numbed by chronic pain. The simple act of touching your hands with intention already changes your body chemistry. Touch releases oxytocin, the care hormone, which reduces cortisol and promotes relaxation. The aroma of herbs, in turn, sends signals to the brain, awakening feelings of calm, security, and repair. As the days go by, something deeper begins to happen. The morning stiffness that once made your first movements torturous begins to subside. Your fingers, once stiff and painful, respond more quickly. You may still feel pain, but not with the same intensity, not with the same frequency. You begin to realize that simple tasks, holding a toothbrush, buttoning a shirt, opening a bottle, become less challenging. This is your body's way of saying thank you. It responds to care. It regenerates when we give it the right tools. In the following weeks, the swelling begins to subside. The joints become less inflamed, and the knots in your fingers feel softer to the touch. When applied daily, the oil creates a kind of therapeutic memory in the tissue. It lubricates, softens, protects. Turmeric reduces inflammatory markers. Ginger activates microvessel. Olive oil nourishes the dermis and underlying muscles. Each element of the oil works in an integrated way, and the results are not only physical, they are emotional, because chronic pain doesn't just live in the flesh, it also lives in the mind, and with less pain, something magical happens. You start dreaming again. The desire to make plans returns. You realize that you are no longer stuck with a diagnosis or a condition. You are more than that. Pain ceases to be the center of your life and becomes just a detail. That's when homemade oil reveals its deepest power. It's not just a remedy, it's a power, a symbol that simple can be powerful, that nature knows how to heal, that your body wants and can live in balance again. But be aware, results may vary. Every body is unique. Every history is different. Some people feel relief within the first few days, others in the first few weeks, and there are those who need a month or more to notice significant changes. This does not mean that the oil is not working. It just means that your body is finding its own healing rhythm. The important thing is not to give up. Keep applying it with patience, with love, with faith, because consistency is the key. And nature does not act under pressure. It acts with wisdom. You can record your progress. Take pictures of your hands before and after. Write down how you feel each week in a notebook. Share with others. This process is powerful. It gives you evidence that the transformation is happening. It reinforces your confidence, and that, in itself, is an act of healing. Because when you believe, you open yourself up to receive, and when you receive, your body flourishes. So yes, you can expect results, real, visible, tangible results. But above all, you can expect something greater, a return to your autonomy, to your body, to your time, a reunion with the version of yourself that is not held hostage by pain. This oil is the first step, and you are taking it now. Sometimes all we need to move forward is to know that someone has been where we are now and made it out, that someone has felt the same pain, the same hopelessness, and still had the courage to try something new. Amidst the statistics, diagnoses, and ready-made formulas, there are real stories. Stories of flesh, bone, tears, and overcoming. They are ordinary people like you, who one day decided to say enough to the routine of pain, who, even though they were afraid, reached out for a home remedy and found something much greater than they expected. They rediscovered themselves. Ana Clara, 62, retired, says that for years she woke up with her fingers so stiff that she could barely hold her toothbrush. It was as if her hands no longer belonged to her. She saw rheumatologists, physical therapists, and tried very strong medications. Some helped, others brought side effects she would rather forget. When I heard about this oil, I confess I was skeptical, she says. But at the same time, I asked myself, what do I have to lose? I made it with what I had at home and followed the instructions carefully. And after 2 weeks, for the first time in a long time, I was able to tie my shoelaces without crying from the pain. It seems small, but for me, it was like coming back to life. Carlos Enrique, 48, a baker, discovered arthritis after years of working with his hands in heavy dough and repeating the same movements every day. It started with a little pain in my wrist, then spread to my fingers. I thought it was too much effort, but it was arthritis. I started living on pills, and over time I began to lose strength and sensitivity. When he heard about the homemade oil, he didn't believe it at first, but decided to give it a try. What impressed me most was the ritual. Heating the oil, massaging, stopping for a while just to take care of myself. I had never done that before. The pain decreased, but what changed most was my relationship with my body. Today I understand what it needs. And there are also stories like that of Donna Ivone, 70, who found in the oil a way to reconnect with her faith. Every time I massage my hands with that golden oil, I say a prayer. I give thanks for every movement I can still make. I give thanks for having learned that healing is not only found in doctors' offices. It can be found here, inside a bottle, made with love. For her, the oil is more than a medicine. It is a symbol of autonomy. I no longer depend only on medicine. I depend on myself, and that is liberating. These stories are not exceptions. They are just some of the voices that decided to share what they have experienced. And perhaps, as you listen to them, you will feel a spark of hope ignite within you. Because there is nothing more powerful than seeing that the impossible has happened to someone else. That rigidity has turned into lightness. That pain has given way to relief. That fear has given way to courage. These voices invite you to believe, not in empty promises, but in the wisdom of your own body. They say try. They say it's worth it. The home remedy, so simple at first glance, gains strength in these narratives. It ceases to be a recipe and becomes a link between people, between generations, between experiences. It becomes an invisible thread that connects those who suffer with those who have overcome. And when you set out on this path, when you start applying this oil every day, you also join this chain. You become another living testimony, further proof that it is possible. These stories are not here to convince you. They are here to inspire you, to remind you that even in the loneliest pain, you are never alone. There are others like you who have walked in darkness and found light, who doubted at first but persisted, who tried, failed, tried again, and won. And now it's your turn. Your story is just beginning, and it can indeed be told with less pain, more freedom, and the strength that comes from caring for what is yours, your body, your hands, your life. Traditional medicine exists for a reason. It saves lives, stabilizes serious conditions, and offers technological resources that would have been unthinkable decades ago. It has its importance and deserves respect. However, what we propose here is not a denial of scientific medicine, but a rediscovery of what has been forgotten, that the human body is more than a set of organs. It is a living universe with rhythms, emotions, and stories. And for this body to return to balance, it is often necessary to listen to nature as well, not just protocols. Therefore, before starting any natural treatment, even with seemingly harmless ingredients such as olive oil, ginger, turmeric, or rosemary, it is essential to observe your individual condition. Each body is unique. Some people may have allergies, drug interactions, or skin sensitivities that need to be taken into account. If you take medication on a regular basis, are undergoing treatment for autoimmune diseases, or have specific health conditions such as liver, kidney, or skin problems, consult your trusted doctor. Take this information to them. Talk to them. Share. Because true care comes from the meeting of knowledge, not from opposition. It is also important to note that no natural remedy, no matter how powerful, can undo years of habits that make the body sick. Homemade oil is a starting point, but for healing to flourish, you need to look at the whole picture. This includes what you eat, how much you sleep, how you feel, how you treat yourself, and how you listen to yourself. Inflammation that manifests itself in the hands, fingers, and joints is often the echo of a life lived with excessive demands, haste, and self-denial. That is why applying this oil every day is a symbolic gesture, but it is also a call, a reminder that you need to prioritize yourself, not just with a bottle, but with daily choices. And even with all this responsibility, we don't want you to be afraid. We want you to be clear, because clarity gives you power. By knowing that this remedy is not a miracle, you become the protagonist of the process. You understand that it does not act alone. It acts together with you, with your consistency, with your inner listening, with your commitment to not abandon yourself.